So my name is Ross Yelsey. I'm an Associate Director of Admission and Marketing here at Columbia Journalism School. I'd like to thank you all again for joining us today for one of our kickoff sessions for the admission season here at Columbia Journalism School, our Where to Begin session, which is aptly titled for a session that's taking place about 3 months now until most of our programs have their application deadline for this next cycle. So it's a great time to join this conversation and get started. We're actually going to have a repeat of this conversation in November because I know a lot of people sometimes don't start thinking about graduate school until a little later in the year, but this is a great time for all of you to be here. I prefer definitely to have the conversation now in September when there's 3 months. People can learn more about our programs, go to more of our sessions, talk to us more individually, and also just get as much information as possible before they complete their application. So it's nice that none of you need to feel hopefully in a rush to get an application complete right now. You have a lot of time based on the conversation we're having today and conversations we'll have in the coming weeks and months to put together a really hopefully strong application for the program of your interest at Columbia Journalism School. So again, this is just the beginning of a conversation. And because we only have about an hour to chat today, we're not going to get into everything related to the school. I know people have a lot of questions about different aspects of Columbia, and I'm really happy that we'll be able to offer opportunities to do more conversations about those topics in the coming weeks as well. We have a conversation with our Dean, Jelani Cobb, next Friday. And we're going to have a conversation called Application Tips on September 27th, so 2 Fridays from now, where we'll talk more in detail about, work samples, tests, other things. We're also going to have several sessions on educational financing and applying for scholarship at the school, which is something we get a lot of questions about. And those will be getting scheduled soon, so look in your inbox for those. So there'll be several sessions on that. So just to let you know, we're not going to get into every detail of all of that today, because it would probably take us about 4 hours maybe to talk through every aspect of applying to a graduate program. But today, with Where to Begin, the main question that we're going to address is what program is the right fit for you in terms of the different opportunities we have here? Because we know that the most important thing when it comes to applying to any graduate program is knowing that it's the right fit for you and having that confidence when you're filling out the application, writing your essays, all of that. And also on our end, we want to make sure that every applicant is best suited for that particular program they're applying for. So we want to make sure our programs that we offer are the right fit for this applicant, because we know when people get to school, if they're not really suited for the program that we offer, they're going to be unhappy. So we want to make sure that people know about our programs, understand the differences between them, and are able to craft the right application for the right program rather than maybe, apply to the wrong program or not be quite the right fit for what we're offering, and then have slightly lesser chance maybe of being admitted to the program that would make the most sense for them. So I'm going to have a presentation, and then we're going to go through some test scenarios in a sense and talk about different particular, kinds of applicants and what kind of program might be suited for them. So you're welcome during that to put some, ideas in the chat of what program you think will be the best kind of suited program for these particular people. And then we'll take some time for questions specifically about program fit at the end of this too, which people can ask questions in the chat at that time. But I'll go through the presentation now, and then we'll leave some time for that. And as I mentioned, if you have questions about educational financing, about, different application requirements and things like that, we won't again have time to get into all those details today. So I'm going to put in the chat a way to sign up for our upcoming sessions, which include drop-in sessions where you're welcome to talk to us more one-on-one with particular questions you have. Also to sign up for particular webinars about our degree programs that will go into much more detail about each of them, as well as sessions again about educational financing, composing your application, all of that. So please go to that link to make more registrations for upcoming sessions. That'll probably be a bit more of a way to get in-depth answers to some of your bigger questions about the application process. So I'm going to get started right now and share my screen. 1 second here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this question, where to begin. And as I said, this is really a question about which programs are the best for you amongst all the different opportunities that we do have available at Columbia. Columbia is not a huge school, Columbia Journalism School. We have only a handful of programs here, but they are each distinct from each other. So we want to make sure, again, that the program you apply for makes the most sense for what your goals are, what your interests are, and that if you were to be admitted to these programs, you'd really thrive and get a lot out of the experience. And so just to go quickly over the different opportunities that we do have here, These are all the degree programs we offer at the journalism school. So we have the Master of Science program, which is available in a full-time option. That's a program that really is open to people from a wide range of backgrounds, whether it's educational backgrounds or professional backgrounds. And it encompasses a lot of different aspects of the profession. So you can do things in writing, in investigations, in video, in broadcast, in audio, in long form. All of that will exist under the MS umbrella. So it's a program that really offers a lot of flexibility to explore a lot of things, whether you're new to journalism or if you have some experience in it already. For people who have a bit stronger interests in particular areas of journalism, we do have two specialized MS programs. There's the MS Stabile Investigative Specialization, which is for people who really want to become, investigative journalists and spend a lot of time getting in-depth training in that realm of the profession. Similarly, we have a documentary MS specialization for people who really know that they want to spend the bulk of their time at Columbia learning the skills to make really high-quality professional documentary films that have reporting as a core kind of element of those. So those are the two areas if you really feel like you want to specialize and you know you have that passion, you may want to apply for. Now, we do also have a part-time Master of Science program for people who may be, working maybe in the New York area already and want to continue with the job they have or a new job that they might be looking at and do our program at the same time. So that's an option that we'll talk about a little bit more later. And we have a relatively new program as well called the MS in Data Journalism, which is a program for people who want to really learn the ins and outs of reporting as well as data analysis and data visualization and data scraping, all of that. It's really more for people who want to do data-based reporting, which means that you're going to go out and report using data that you find out there, whether it's government data, environmental data, business data, and finding, the techniques to understand whether there's stories in that data and then learning how to tell those effectively. So it's a very much a reporting-based data program that's really, launched a lot of great careers already in the profession. And similarly, we have a computational degree that's about learning both the skills of a computer scientist and the skills of a journalist called the dual MS in journalism and computer science, which is mainly for building, apps and platforms and new tools for journalists to use. So it's more of a, research and development oriented program for people to create really new, cool things using their computer knowledge as well as their journalistic understandings to do all of that. And we also have a Master of Arts program. This sometimes causes some confusion amongst applicants between that and the MS program, our Master of Science program. So you are able to, consider both of these programs. I would say the MA program, and we'll talk about it again later, is for more experienced journalists, people who already know the essentials of journalism, which is something that you're going to be taught in the MS program and allows you to build off of that by going deeper into one of four concentration areas. You see those on the screen here. Those are arts and culture, business and economics, politics, and science. So you would choose one of those concentrations and learn more about that subject area while also maybe also sharpening some of your skills, whether it's in audio, video, investigative work, offering you some ability to do that as well. But it's definitely a program that assumes you already know how to do complex reporting to be an eligible candidate for it. And then finally, we have a PhD in communications program. This is a bit different than the others because it is a doctoral program. It's not a master's program, and it's not a professional degree. It's an academic degree, really gearing you for a career in research and teaching. So it's a really great way to do that. But I'll talk about that a bit more later too. And that's a smaller program compared to the others in terms of the class size. All right, 1 second here. I'm just going to let in a few more people from the reading room here and we will continue our chat. All right, 1 second here. All right, I'm just going to move this out of the way here. Bear with me. All right, so here we go. We're going to do some of these quizzes. So people are going to be welcome to put in the chat any of their ideas for what the best programs are for these particular people that we've kind of imagined in terms of what their goals are. So here it begins. So here's the first scenario. This is someone who says, I have contributed to my college newspaper and I've taken some TV broadcast classes. As I complete my bachelor's degree in the spring of this, coming academic year, I know that after graduating, I want to gain stronger professional skills in different areas of journalism, including broadcast, magazine writing, audio, and even investigative reporting. Which program is the right fit for me? Do people have any ideas of what that might be in terms of the program that makes sense for someone with this background? All right, I see a couple answers here. I see some people saying MS, a couple more MSs. That's great. So let's see, is that right? Yes, it's the MS program, as I was saying earlier. the Master of Science program is a great program for people with a range of professional experiences or educational experiences. You don't have to be a professional journalist or even have studied journalism before to be eligible for the MS program. And it's a great program because it is a very big tent in the sense that it involves, writing, broadcast, video, podcasting, investigative work, data work. All of that you can explore if you want to. You don't have to do all of those things, but you can definitely follow your own particular interest in this program. And one thing that may differ from our MS program and other schools' graduate programs is we don't require you to declare like a major in our MS program. So you don't need to say, I'm applying to the MS with the major in magazine or a major in broadcast or a major in photography or a major in audio. You can take classes that really resonate with you when you're in the program that you were particularly interested in. So you never have to formally declare like a particular pathway through it. It's a very flexible program in the sense that you can really select the classes and areas of journalism that you want to focus on within the MS program. Okay, and now a new scenario. So this is another one. I am completely new to journalism, having never studied it formally or worked in the field. However, working in another industry for several years, I have discovered that I want to make a career change, and reporting and storytelling is what I see myself doing next. What program is the right fit for me? Anybody have any suggestions there? Let's see what we got. All right. Looks like MS again. Yes, it's MS again. You're right. So again, this program is our most popular program. It's our largest program at the school in terms of the student body size. Because it is such a big, flexible program for people with a range of backgrounds, you'll see a lot of people who are relatively fresh out of their undergraduate degree in this program, but you'll also find people who have been working in other fields, including journalism, for several years. Some people who have retired from another job that they've had for many years and want to do journalism. So you'll see a range, a real diversity of backgrounds in the MS program again. And it's a great program for anybody who wants to explore and gain the professional skills of a journalist and also explore the areas that are meaningful to them within the profession. Another scenario. So I'm inspired by the watchdog reporting in my community, which has recently exposed some local corruption. And I know that I want to focus my journalism training on learning the techniques to uncover wrongdoing and to hold institutions and individuals accountable. Which program is the right fit for me? Anybody have any ideas there? I see investigation, stabile, which is the same word as investigation. Yes, you are all on the right path. That is the right answer for this particular person. The MS program with the Stabile Investigative Specialization is the right fit because this person really knows that they want to focus their time at the school primarily on investigative techniques and learning how to expose wrongdoing, which is really what this MS Stabile Investigative Specialization is all about, and has launched, again, really great careers for a lot of people who are now working at the top of the field, doing investigative work at places at the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Miami Herald, all over the world, really, too. So it's a great program for that. If you are wondering, like, I am interested in investigations, but it's maybe not my primary interest, or it's not the one thing I really want to do, can I still study that in the MS broader program? The answer is yes. There are investigative courses that you're welcome to take if you want to, and some required investigator training you'll get in no matter what program you're in. So the MS broader program also could be a good fit if your interest is not like, so strong that that's primarily what you want to learn about at Columbia. But again, in this scenario, this person would be well suited for this Stabile Investigative Specialization. All right, here's another one. Now, we were talking about MA and MS earlier. So this person's saying, I'm strongly interested in politics, and I want to learn to skillfully write about the subject. I have majored in political science, but I have yet to produce any substantial reported journalistic stories. I'm looking at the MA politics concentration and the MS as options. Which program is the right fit for me? Anybody have any ideas in that case? Let's see here. Down here. MS. Yes, a lot of people have been paying good attention here. Sometimes people might think that the MA politics concentration would likely be the right fit, but because, as this person says, they have never really done journalism before. They haven't done any substantial journalism. They do know a lot about political science, which is great and very valuable. But for the MA politics concentration, they really want to see that you've done a good amount of journalism, and it doesn't necessarily have to be political journalism in this case, but journalism of some sort, and know how to do the essentials. So this person would likely be best suited for the MS program because the Master of Science program, as we've been saying, does offer people with no journalistic experience great fundamental training, as well as the flexibility to explore areas like politics reporting with classes that are under the MS umbrella to do that. So this person can definitely get the essential journalism training they need, but also, if politics is really their core interest, to learn how to do political reporting, whether it's domestic politics, international politics, all of that. Learn from some great journalists in the MS program about how to do that as well. And now another scenario. This is another kind of one that's in a similar ballpark. This person says that I'm strongly interested in business and economic issues, and I want to learn how to tell more ambitious and complex stories about those topics. I've worked as a journalist for about 2 years now, and I want to do more ambitious business reporting. I'm looking at the MS and the MA Business and Economics concentration. Which program might be the right fit for me? People have any ideas for this person? MA, MA. I see a couple of questions. Either. Yes, I would say in this scenario, it's very likely I would say this person is best suited for the MA Business and Economics concentration for two reasons. One is that they say that they've already been doing journalism, at least 2 years of experience doing, well-reported stories. So that means that they do have the essential skills that the MA program looks for. And this person wants to do more ambitious business reporting. So that's, again, what the MA, these subject areas are there to help you do. So it'll help you learn whether it's this business concentration in this scenario or the science concentration for people interested in science or arts and culture for the arts and culture people or the politics one. They will give you all the skills to really do ambitious work and also sharpen some of your professional skills as well. So I would say in this scenario, the MA Business and Economics concentration is probably the best fit. But of course, things are, not, set in stone. So people can always talk to us too, and they can talk over some of the pros and cons of the MS and MA and learn whether maybe in this scenario, if the MS still might be a good fit. But it's very likely in this case that the MA Business and Economics concentration would be the best for someone with those goals and that background. And then another scenario, this person says that they are new to reporting and computational work, but they want to be focused on pursuing a journalism career where they will be able to find and analyze large sets of data, such as climate change data, to report stories about environmental issues. And this person asked what program is the right fit for them. People have any ideas in this case? MS data journalism, MS data journalism. That's correct. MS data journalism is very likely the best program for this person. As we talked about earlier, the MS in data journalism does not necessarily presume that you've done data work or computational work before. It starts from scratch, and it's all about using data to report. And for this particular person in this scenario, they want to use climate information and data to tell stories, whether it's showing changes in temperatures or maybe changes in sea levels, all sorts of different things they could potentially do with data journalism work. So it's a great program for that. If you have other interests involving data, so this person in the scenario is interested in climate, but if you're interested in, say, sports data, in business data, in a wide range of different types of data, you could definitely get a lot out of the MS in data journalism program and really get the skills to do the computational work confidently, so you could go into a job after graduating and be very confident you could understand a big set of data that your workplace finds or that they want you to make sense of, and also tell a really great story because you'll learn all the fundamental reporting and storytelling skills all of our MS students will learn, so you can do it all basically and not have to rely on other people to make sense of the data for you. You can do that and do the storytelling yourself. Great. And now another scenario, a little similar in some ways, that it's about a computational interest, but a little different, as you'll see as well. This person says, I was a computer science major, and now I am interested in working in a media organization to help develop new applications and software that will make news gathering and news presentation more effective. Which program is likely the best fit for this person? This is the dual degree. Yes, the dual degree with computer science and journalism. So the great thing about this program is it will give you two master's degrees, two MS degrees, one from our school and one from the engineering school in the computer science department. So you'll come out of it with that expertise in both realms. This person, as you saw, says they are a computer science major, which is important to note because this program, the dual degree program, does presume if you're going to be eligible for the MS in computer science that you've already done a good amount of advanced work in computer science or statistics or linear algebra already, which means that you probably were a major in computer science or a minor or a concentrator in it, or that you've already been working professionally in some sort of very computation-heavy job. So if you're already doing computer science coding in some sort of job, even if you didn't study it formally before, you may be eligible for this program too. But it does need people that already know the essentials of computer science to be able to kind of jump into this, because it is a graduate level computer science and journalism program that doesn't give you kind of just the essential training to understand computer science at the beginning. It knows or expects that you'll know the kind of advanced level computer science to begin, because it's a graduate level program. All right, and so that was the dual degree. And now another question from a potential applicant says that I currently have a communications job at a nonprofit organization in New York City, and I want to gain the professional skills to become a better reporter and storyteller, and I still want to keep working while I study. Which program is the right fit for me? Anybody have idea for that one? Part-time. Part-time MS, part-time MS. Yes, good answers. That is correct. The part-time MS program is a great program for people like the one in this scenario who are working in some sort of career in New York area. Some of them may have 9 to 5 kind of traditional jobs, and others may be freelancers. They have their own company sometimes, and they have flexible work schedules, but they want to keep doing that kind of work and earning our degree over a longer amount of time. The part-time program, just so people know, and we'll talk more about this in one of our sessions specifically about this program, goes over 5 semesters as opposed to 2, which our a full-time program goes over. So it spreads out basically over 2 academic years and over a summer term between those 2 academic years. So basically 5 semesters, 2 academic years in a summer is what it takes to complete the part-time program. Now, if you're watching this and you are an international applicant, or maybe you are going to apply and you're not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, it's very unlikely you would be eligible for the part-time program, because the part-time program is really for people who have work authorization already in the U.S., which means that they're probably U.S. citizens or permanent residents. People on student visas are not able to do the part-time program because it is not a program that's eligible for a student visa. So this would be something that mainly people working in the New York area would likely be interested in doing. Although sometimes people relocate from other parts of the U.S. Where they're able to find a job and continue, doing our degree, but also working in whatever that job is. But it's ideally suited for people who maybe already are based in the New York area, want to keep working and earning our degree and doing all the elements of the MS program just over a longer period of time, and with some class times that would work with a working person schedule, which would be like, after 6 p.m. or so. So we'll have some options that are flexible for people who are working. And now another scenario, this one says, I have done a bit of video storytelling already, and I now know that I want to tell powerful stories about individuals and social issues through compelling reporting-based documentary films. Which program is the right fit for me? We kind of tipped our hat with the question, but anybody have some ideas for this one? Documentary MS. Yes, it's very likely this person, because they know that their main interest is doing documentary films, especially reporting-based documentary films is their overall interest. I would say this is probably the best program for this person. And the doc program, the doc specialization, does not presume that you've done a lot of filmmaking before. It's great if you have already, but if you haven't, you are totally welcome to apply to this program. Because it will teach you the essentials of all the technical aspects of video and documentary storytelling, which means, camera work, lighting, microphones and sound, editing, remixing the audio. All of that stuff is going to be part of this, as well as learning the storytelling techniques, the interviewing techniques, and the pitching techniques to really learn what a story that would be, a success as a documentary, what that would be, basically. So you'll learn all the different aspects about becoming a professional documentary filmmaker in this particular specialization. And another another scenario here says, I'm interested in applying to the MS documentary specialization, but I think I also want to maybe apply to the MS Stabile investigative specialization, and maybe also the MS in data journalism. So what program might be the best for this type of applicant? Anybody have ideas there? MS. Yes, I see a lot of people saying MS, the classic MS program, general MS, however you want to call it. The answer is correct. That is the MS scenario, the perfect scenario. Sometimes people have, a range of interests. It's okay if you don't, know for sure about exactly which area you want to specialize in. That's why this program exists. So if you're interested a bit in documentary filmmaking or video storytelling, and you're interested in investigative work, and you maybe want to learn a bit about data and audio and whatever else, the MS program, as we've been saying, is a program that is going to have a really big umbrella in terms of a lot of different topics you can choose from and mix and match. So you could definitely get a good amount of training in different areas in the MS program. So again, don't feel like you need to necessarily declare a specialization if you're not sure which one is your interest. In those cases, I would say apply to the MS broader program, and that way you can come into it and learn, if you're admitted, learn about different aspects, find out which ones are really the most meaningful for you, and then maybe pursue more deeper training in those areas as you go through the curriculum. So again, MS broader program, probably a great fit if you have multiple interests and can't quite decide which particular path you want to choose. So there's no problem with that. MS is built for you. And then here's another scenario. It says, I don't want to become a journalist necessarily, but I am seeking a long-term career as a professor. Through a mix of disciplinary approaches such as history and political science and sociology, I'm interested in researching the ways that media have shaped public perceptions of elected officials in different parts of the world. What program might be the right fit for this particular type of applicant? PhD in communications. Yes. See a lot of answers. PhD, PhD. Yes, very good answers. So you've been definitely paying attention to the overview, which is great. The PhD in communications, as I was saying earlier, is for people who want to become academics. It is not, and sometimes people think it is not a capstone degree in journalism that gives you like a really great career in journalism. Like you won't become the editor of the New York Times with a PhD in communications. It's not really that kind of degree. It's really for people who want to, again, blend some different disciplinary approaches to the study of communications, especially in the realms of history and sociology, as well as potentially political science, anthropology, law, other areas, and spend a good amount of time at Columbia working on some really deeply focused research in these areas. This program usually takes around 6 to 8 years to complete, so it's a long-term investment of time and kind of energy into doing this, and it's really ideal for people who want to definitely forge more of an academic or research path. It's a relatively small program. We usually have about 3 people admitted to the program every year. It has a really good amount of hands-on mentoring for each person who comes into the program with our particular faculty, as well as faculty around the university who can help them with that. But again, it's a program for people who want to maybe mix some disciplinary approaches to study issues related to media, communications, journalism. Sometimes people also think it might be a program where if you get this PhD, you can actually learn strategic communications or learn how to become a really strong marketer or public relations person. It's not that type of degree either. So it's not a program that's really meant for professional development. So you could be a high-end communications professional like at a company who does strategic comms, marketing, stuff like that. It's really for the academic kind of mindset and people who want to forge that kind of career path. Great. Take a breath here. And then here are now some common questions. So I'm going to do like a lightning round where I'm going to answer my own questions here because we get these very commonly from our potential applicants every year. And so I can answer them very quickly. And then we can go through these and then take some questions from the rest of you about particular things related to program fit. So here we go. Can I apply to multiple Columbia journalism degree programs at once? The answer to this is no. So don't apply to like the PhD, the MS, and the MS in data journalism at the same time, or the MS in data journalism, the broader MS, and the dual MS all at the same time. Really, talk to us, go to our sessions this fall. I mentioned we're having plenty of those over the fall that you can learn more about each program and find out which one is really the one that you think is your best, a fit, and then apply to that program. Now, I'll say a couple things. We get this follow-up question about whether if you are applying to a specialized program, whether it might turn out that you could be admitted to the broader MS, even without necessarily applying to that as quote unquote like a backup for that program. And the answer is yes. In many cases, if you apply to the MS in data journalism or to the MS investigative specialization or the documentary specialization, or even to the MA program, and if our admissions committee feels that you are better suited for the broader MS, you may find out that you are admitted to that broader MS just by automatic, admission letter. They find that this person has a lot of potential, but would be better suited by the broader curriculum. So you don't necessarily need to worry that if you apply to a specialized program and if the committee feels like you're not quite suited for that specialization, that you won't be admitted at all. It's possible you could be admitted to the broader MS in those cases. There will be a box, however, for MA applicants saying that asking if you want to be considered for the MS. And if you mark that box, there'll be a couple other requirements you'll need to fill out, but that would make you potentially eligible if the committee feels you're better suited for the MS rather than the MA, that you would be admitted to that. So again, you don't have to apply to multiple programs at once in order to potentially, be admitted to the journalism school generally. Another question, do I need to declare an area of study in the MS program, like audio, broadcast, magazine, photojournalism, or sports reporting? I said this already, so the answer is no. You don't need to declare any specialized area within the MS program beyond the people who want to apply to the 2 specialized programs, the documentary program or the investigative program. So if you're interested in audio, magazine, photo, any of those things, sports, you just apply to the MS program. There's not going to be a box in our application to say you're applying to the broadcast, journalism MS or to the magazine one. You just apply to the broader program. You can indicate in your essays about the areas of interest you may already have and things you want to maybe explore further, but you don't need to make any formal application to any of those areas of journalism with your application to the MS. A question about whether I can start a program in the spring rather than the fall. So as you might know, our programs generally have a fall-spring schedule. So we start in the fall in August for most of our programs and end our two-semester programs in May. So it's basically a fall-spring program for a lot of our two-semester programs. So could you start maybe midway through the program in the spring semester? Answer is no, because our programs are really built to build skills over the time you're a student here, whether you're in the MS, the MA, PhD, MS in data journalism, they all start from the essentials and they build your kind of knowledge of journalism up as you go through the program. So you can't start it like midway through. So there is no spring admission for the program. So if you are thinking of applying to the program, know that all of our programs currently will require that you start in the fall semester for whatever program that might be. A question that sometimes we get is the MS, the Master of Science, a scientific degree because it has science in it? And is the MA, the Master of Arts, an artistic one because it has arts in it? Answer is not really. So people sometimes think or indicate in their application, they say, I'm applying to the MA program because I'm not really interested in science, or vice versa. I'm interested in the sciences, so I want to apply to the MS program. MS is really a nomenclature that explains that the MS is more of a skills-based degree, which means that it's about building essential journalism skills. As I was saying, you'll get core reporting, writing, multimedia storytelling, and other areas of the profession to have kind of a well-rounded amount of knowledge, professional knowledge about journalism through the MS program. And the MA program is one that allows you to delve deeper as a more advanced journalist into areas of subject matter, as well as to also sharpen some skills in areas that you might be interested in getting better knowledge of, whether it might be audio, again, broadcast, or investigations, or data, or other things. But the bulk of it will be about kind of getting more advanced subject knowledge. So that's why that's called the MA program. So that's kind of the differences. But people should definitely apply to these programs without making some sort of distinction between arts and science in the sense that you have to apply to the artistic program or the scientific program. That's not really what it means. And that question about whether the PhD can be used as a capstone professional degree, I answered this already. The answer is no. It is not a degree that is ideally suited for anyone who wants to maybe advance in their professional job in a newsroom by saying they have a PhD in it. It's really, again, for academically oriented people who want to become professors and researchers. A question that we get a lot is, can I work while I'm in the full-time program? So our MS full-time program, our MA, which is only available in a full-time format right now, our data journalism MS, which is only full-time, all of these programs, can you work and maybe have another job, an internship while you're in these programs? The answer is, we're not going to say, no, you can't, like forbid you from doing it, but it's very much impossible, I would say, in terms of the schedule that you'll have in these programs. So they're going to be really like working many times over a full-time job. So you're going to have reporting that you'll be doing for multiple classes that will take you all over the city on weekdays and weekends and evenings and other times of day. So it's a program, if you're in any full-time program, that you should really not try to schedule anything else substantial work-wise on top of your academic kind of requirements, because you're going to be doing a lot of work all the time for our programs. It's going to be really a lot of fun, but you're going to be expected to be always able to do reporting, and the stories that you're working on will change week by week or day by day, which means you're going to be in different neighborhoods, having to do different deadlines, different times. So again, don't plan to work on top of doing any full-time program if you're admitted to the journalism school. And a question about whether you can transfer other credits from another school towards a master's program here at Columbia Journalism School. Answer is no. Since our program is very unique, we don't have, I suppose, courses at other schools that would necessarily fit and kind of take up particular credits that our program entails. So that means that if you did like you're in the middle of another type of master's program, or if you've done a bachelor's degree that has some journalism classes, that's great. But your credits for those classes will not transfer over. So you'll basically do the full program, whether it's the MS or MA, whether you've done work that you might want to transfer over or not. You'll have to do the full kind of curriculum at our school. A few more questions that we get a lot, and this repeats a few things I've already said. Question, do I need to have journalism experience to be considered for the MS degree? As I said earlier, no, you do not need to have journalism experience necessarily to be considered for the MS degree. Another follow-up question that's not on here that would probably be what I would ask next is, so what do I need to have to be considered to be a strong MS applicant? And we'll talk about that a lot more in our application tips webinar, which is coming up on September 27th in a couple weeks. So you'll join us for that. We'll talk more in detail about this. But for people who maybe are new to journalism and applying to the MS, definitely showing that you're interested in doing this particular type of program and knowing about kind of what it will require of you will be the most important thing about MS applicants who are coming new to journalism. Because basically in this program, you're going to be working as a journalist from day one, going out into the city. And it's okay if you haven't done that kind of work before, but if you're excited to do that, if you're excited to learn by doing, and you can convey that in your application for the MS program, that will be very important, especially if you haven't done any journalism before. But again, you're welcome to apply. Don't feel discouraged if you're new to journalism and applying to the MS programs. Next question, do I need to have journalism experience to be considered for the Master of Arts program? Yes, so that's the distinction they always keep in mind. The MA program really will expect that you have done professional journalism and can show that in the application to be a good candidate for the MA program, because that program will start at a more advanced level that kind of expects that you know how to get your sources, how to do a complex story. It will not go over kind of the fundamentals of journalism in the way that the curriculum is designed. So the MA program will expect that. Sometimes people ask, like, how many years do I need to work in journalism to be considered for the MA? I know on our website it says, ideally around 3 to 15. So that's kind of a number to think about. But we do have people that come to the MA program who've done less than that. So maybe like a year or two, but doing a lot of advanced reporting that they can show in their application. So if you can show that you've done complex multi-source stories, kind of feature-length stories, longer stories, and you can upload those as samples for the MA, even if you worked for fewer than 3 years, you may be a good candidate for that. It's really the work you can show and the kind of ability you can show in the application for the MA that will be the most important in terms of being considered as a strong candidate for that program. Question for potential PhD applicants. Do I need a master's degree already to be considered for the PhD in communications? The answer is no. So it's great if you've already done a master's degree in communications or some other discipline like history or sociology or media studies to be an applicant for this program. But we do have people who have just done a bachelor's or its equivalent and have the strong interest in doing doctoral work at that point in their career to be considered for the PhD. So you don't need to have the master's degree necessarily to be considered for the PhD. So don't feel like you need to go out there and get one in order to be potentially admitted to the PhD program. If you have one, that's great. But again, if you don't have one, feel welcome to apply for the PhD if you feel like our program is the right fit for your particular kind of research interests and the way that our program really stresses interdisciplinary work. So if that resonates with you and you want to apply to that program, go ahead and apply for that one. Here's another question. Do I need to have computational skills to be considered for the MS in data journalism? Answer is no. As I said earlier, it would be great if you do. Some of our people in the MS and data journalism program each year have some computational experience. That maybe they've done some data work or some essential coding, explored some ways of exploring data sets already. That's great if you do have that, and definitely if you have it, feel that's a great thing to know about to come into the program. But if you're totally fresh to it, you don't know what a data set is, you don't know what Python and R and these different types of software are. You've heard of them, but maybe you don't know what they do and how to work with them. That's cool. The program really does start from scratch, as I was saying. So if you have a strong interest in doing data-related reporting, it's okay to apply to this program and you may be admitted, even if you don't show that you've done computational work at any advanced level already. So again, feel welcome to apply. Don't feel discouraged if you are new to computational methods but want to do this particular type of program. Now, another similar program, but slightly different answer will be in this question saying, do I need to already have computational skills to be considered for the dual MS in journalism and computer science? The answer to that is yes. As I was saying before, for the dual degree program, which does have you earn a master's in computer science at Columbia University, a very, well-known world-renowned computer science department, you need to kind of come in with some really advanced skills already to be able to do that graduate work in computer science. So again, you should probably have either a major or minor in computer science or in statistics or linear algebra. Or you have to have already worked maybe in the field as a computer scientist or someone who's been doing coding and kind of more advanced work for years or more to be able to do this program. So in this case, if you don't have any computational knowledge, I would say look at our data program or other programs that we offer that don't have a computational requirement. For the dual degree, yes, you do need to know and be able to show that you can do advanced computational work. Now, a question about how did the dual degrees work with the MS program and with other Columbia schools. So we've been talking this whole session about this dual degree with journalism and computer science. We do have a few more dual degrees with other schools at Columbia Journalism School, including SIPA, the School of International Public Affairs, and with the law school, with the JD there, with the MBA at the Columbia Business School, and with the MA in Religion in the School of Arts and Sciences in the Religion Department. So in these cases, For the MS, dual MS, excuse me, with journalism and computer science, you can apply with one application to that dual program. For the rest of these dual degrees, the ones with SIPA, law school, business school, and the MA with religion, you need to apply to both of those programs separately. So apply to us with our deadlines, our requirements, our guidelines, and to that other school, whether it's SIPA, law school, religion, or the business school, with their requirements, their deadlines, and all of their, particulars. So that means you would apply separately, and if you're admitted to both the programs from the two schools, in that happy instance, you would work with our school and with the other school to kind of figure out which order you'd want to do those degrees, and then kind of work with us then. But you will need to kind of go to that other website for the other school you're interested in applying to, learn about their requirements, go by their particulars. You might have to kind of do slightly different things for both applications in terms of, requirements. But, every year a small group of people do apply to these two programs, get into, say, like the law school and our school, or the business school and our school, and they work with us to do that. But again, you'll have to just consult the other website, talk to their admissions people about how to apply to that program for those questions. And then people sometimes have seen on our website that we have a dual degree that's potentially available with our MS program and with a master's program at Sciences Po in Paris, where people can apply potentially to earn two master's degrees with us and then with Sciences Po. And in those cases, there's not an application question, as you'll see in the application for admission for our school, that says, I want to apply for the dual Sciences Po opportunity. So it's not something you will apply for at the outset of applying to our school. What will happen if you do get admitted to their MS programs and come to our school in the fall is we'll have an information session in the fall for our current students. So this is coming up for our current students in a few weeks with the Sciences Po representatives, who will talk about this dual degree opportunity. And for MS students at our school who are interested in pursuing this, they can apply specifically to the Sciences Po program. And if they are selected by Sciences Po to do this, they would go and earn their MS at Sciences Po the year after finishing our degree, basically. So it's something, you don't apply for now, but if you are admitted to our program and want to be potentially, pursuing a dual degree with Sciences Po, you can consider that, apply for that as a student here in the fall. So that's how that would work. And then a question we get a lot too is whether there are online degrees or classes available at the journalism school for our degree programs. Answer is no. We do not have any online programs where you could earn a degree remotely right now at Columbia Journalism School, or even individual classes. Some people ask, like, oh, could I take this one class, but take it remotely? Answer is no. So all of our classes, and this is for our MS, our MA, PhD program, are all taught on site at Columbia Journalism School here in Pulitzer Hall, the building I'm currently in. So this is a place you would have to be to take these courses. Everything is very hands-on here, which means you're working, in the classrooms with our faculty and our kind of adjunct faculty. You are using our equipment in the building. You're going out into the city very frequently to do stories about all sorts of issues, coming back here to use, our editing software, using our different studios and workrooms and all of that. So it's a place that is really about being here in person, taking advantage of this great community that assembles here every year of all these great students from around the world in this one building. So it is a very much an in-person experience. So we do not have any online kind of options at this point for Columbia Journalism School. So if you are thinking of applying, know that if you're admitted and you want to be here, you're going to have to be in New York, which is not a bad place to be, because it's a very world-class, exciting city, and on campus here at Columbia Journalism School for the duration of the program that you're thinking about. So those are the common questions we get. And then just to reiterate what I said at the beginning, plenty of time based on this conversation and the deadlines to do your due diligence, to do some research. Come to our webinars about these different programs I talked about in minute detail. We'll explore them in much more detail later in these webinars. And so if you want to apply to our MS in data journalism or PhD program, know that the deadline is coming on December 15th. So basically just a little over 3 months away now. So plenty of time to get these applications together and to come to more of our sessions. Our MA program deadline for admission will be January 5th, so a little longer in terms of time to get that assembled. And then our latest, in terms of the latest possible time to apply for a program, will be for that dual degree with journalism and computer science, which is January 15th, so about 4 months from now. So there's plenty of time to work on that for those inclined for that particular dual degree program. And as I mentioned, we're going to have a application tips webinar on September 27th, so 2 weeks from now, which will go over much more of the details of things that I would, again, take hours to talk about now, which is like application requirements, work samples, recommendation letters, TOEFLs, all of that stuff. We'll talk about that much more in that session coming up then. And I put in the chat earlier a link, which I'll put in again in a moment, to sign up for other sessions, our drop-in sessions, other, webinars about these programs in order to get more information that you'll need in order to kind of decide which program you want to apply for and how to assemble a really strong application for whatever program that may be. And so for now, I'm going to close my share screen. And then I'm going to take some questions from you. So please put the questions in the chat if you wish to, just direct them to me, and I can answer those. Remember, we're going to talk only about the program fit today. So if it's about financial aid, talking about other things, we'll get into that in later sessions. But for questions about the kind of fit that might make sense for you, put those questions in the chat, and I'll see how many I can get to in the next 10, 15 minutes or so. I see some hands up. Because of just a large crowd, we'll just need you to put the questions in the chat if you're able to. I won't be able to take those kind of verbally right now. Okay, here's a question here. So about the PhD, one second. So PhD application. So if you are wanting to gain, experience, more advanced experience as a journalist, say you want to get really good skills as a journalist, the PhD program is probably not the right fit for you. This person is wondering, do I want to get more? I want to get more advanced training as a journalist in the PhD. Answer is no. It's not, again, like a way to really advance your career as a professional journalist. So if you're thinking of that kind of goal, I would say maybe our MA program might be a good fit for more advanced journalists who want to get more skills and knowledge to do even more ambitious, impressive work as journalists. The MA program might be a good fit for you for more professional advancement in journalism, even if you've been working as a journalist for several years. But the PhD program, again, is for people who really want to be professors, they want to be researchers and think tanks, and really devote their kind of time to questions about historical, sociological context of journalism, but not necessarily working as journalists anymore. So again, that's maybe a way to think about those distinctions. So I'd say for advanced journalists who want to advance their career even further in the profession, the MA program is likely the better fit for those particular types of goals. Let's see, a quick note about financial aid. So a question about that. As I said, we're not going to get into all of that. We'll have many webinars about financial aid and that whole process. But since we're kind of, where to begin, one thing to note right now is that you will need, if you are applying to any of our master's programs, to do a completely separate scholarship application. It's not open quite yet. We will be opening that in a couple weeks, and we'll be announcing that via email, reminding you about it, and having webinars specifically about that application process. So some other schools out there, you may just apply for admission, and then that school, if they admit you, may note, oh, by the way, you got a scholarship. We don't do that this way. We do have a good amount of scholarship funding available that we do allocate to incoming master's students every year. But everyone who wants to be considered for scholarship aid needs to complete the separate scholarship process, which we'll explicate in a much more detail a little later. But just remember that. So don't forget to apply for the scholarship application separately when you are doing your application for admission. There's going to be the application for admission and the application for scholarship for all master's applicants. So just remember that'll be out there. We'll have more information, more deadline information for that, and just more instruction coming up on it. But just remember, if you're admitted to our master's program, if you forgot to do the separate scholarship application, we won't be able to award you or consider you for scholarship after that. So just make sure to remember to do that separate process. For PhD applicants, you do not need to do that. That is something that if you are admitted to, there's a kind of a standard package of financial aid for doctoral students at Columbia that you would be eligible for in those cases. But for all the master's applicants, you will need to do that separate process, and stay tuned for more information about that. So a question here about somebody who has a good amount of experience with video production and knows they want to go into documentary, but this person doesn't have a lot of reporting or journalism experience and is wondering if the documentary program might be right for them. The answer is potentially yes. So the MS programs, even the investigative program specialization and the documentary specialization, won't require that an applicant come into it with a strong, previous kind of knowledge of journalism or reporting to come into it. So in those cases, and we'll talk about this more in the application tip session too, you'll want to make sure you make a good case for why you really want to pursue a focused kind of education in this case, documentary journalism. But it's okay if you don't necessarily have a strong journalistic background already, even for the specialized programs. So definitely don't just feel discouraged to apply to the doc program if you're new to journalism. All of our MS programs will give you the fundamentals of reporting in them on top of all the kind of specialized skills you may be seeking to get. So remember that it's something that if you're applying to an MS program, you can definitely be considered for that, even with a little less journalism experience than you might think you should have. So yes, don't feel discouraged about that. Let's see, another question here about the part-time applicants from international areas. Again, as I was saying, if you're an international applicant, with very rare exceptions, you'll need to apply to a full-time program because you cannot do the part-time program on a student visa. And basically, most of the international applicants who are admitted and are able to come here will need to be on student visas. So I would say generally start to focus more on the full-time program opportunities if you're an international applicant. Again, there's very few opportunities to do the part-time for the international applicants who do come to Columbia Journalism School. A question about the MA program, about somebody who wants to maybe apply to multiple concentrations in the MA. So as we noted in the MA program, there are 4 concentrations: arts and culture, business and economics, politics, and science. So this person's wondering, could they be considered for MA science even if they aren't admitted to, say, the politics one? The answer is probably not. I would say definitely, again, spend this time now, if you are thinking of applying to these programs, to figure out what the best fit is for you. So if the politics MA is really what you want to do, learn about it and make a strong case for it. If you're wobbling between 2 concentrations, maybe it's worth talking to our staff, learning more about that, and wondering if another alternative that's more flexible would be the right fit. Because if you're choosing one very specified program, but also wanting to do another very specified program that's a little different, then maybe we need to chat about kind of what the right fit would be. Because that's kind of like someone who says, like, I want to have dinner, I really want to have pizza, but I also want to have Chinese food tonight. It's like 2 very different things. You kind of have to make up your mind between maybe one of those things, or decide you want to go to a program that offers more of a buffet, so to speak, where you can get a little of different things in those cases too. So we can talk about that in more detail, maybe in the MA sessions we'll be having coming up soon. A few questions about requirements. Again, we'll talk more about that in the application tips session on September 27th. So stay tuned for that as well. And otherwise, let's see what else is here. Here's a question: what program might be the right fit for someone whose primary interest is audience engagement and who is passionate about connecting people with the news? That's a good question. So as long as your interest is audience engagement, plus you want to learn kind of the essentials of reporting, like going out into the city and doing all that, I would say that the MS program is going to be likely the best fit, because there are different types of classes available in the MS program. As I mentioned, that's a very big tent program in terms of offering a lot of different curricular opportunities and things to learn about. And there'll be classes within the MS. Currently, there's classes like managing the 21st century newsroom and other ones about news products that can maybe help create better pathways for audience engagement in local communities, as well as more like national or even larger communities as well. So I'd say the MS program will likely be the best fit for people interested in learning more about audience engagement, as long as you're interested in that and also want to go through the curriculum that we have for basically everyone, which will be doing a lot of reporting out in the city on top of learning about some more specialized areas of interest. And then we have a question from somebody saying this person has a financial journalism degree from the UK. What program would be the best for them? Well, that might depend in this case. So for people who have a degree or some knowledge about a certain area, if you want to gain stronger knowledge of, say, business and economics reporting still, even though you have that degree, maybe you want to do the MA business in that case. But if you want to maybe pivot and learn about different areas of the profession, another subject area, maybe the MA would be a good fit. But maybe if you're interested in doing more data work, because maybe you're new to that, you might not be, but if you are, maybe the data journalism program might be a good fit, or even our broader MS might be a good fit if you're interested in learning more about, say, podcasting or broadcast news. It might just depend on what your goals are. So the question might be not always contingent on what you've already done, but what you want to do next, and which program will help you get the skills and the knowledge that you're looking for to do the next step in whatever that might be. It might be becoming an audio journalist. It might be becoming a science and climate journalist. It might be becoming a politics journalist, or it might be becoming a data journalist. All those things we can help you with, but it just might depend on your particular goal. So I'd say the question that for everybody is to kind of think about what your goals are after Columbia if you come here, and which program will help you get there, and a little less maybe about what you did already. It may be that you want to continue doing the thing you were doing already and can build off that. That's great. But if you want to make a change or explore something new, that's great too. Our school can really help you with whatever path you might be on. So great. Thank you again. These have been some great questions. I'm really happy so many people tuned in today. I'm really glad, again, that you have 3 months at minimum to work on your application now and to connect with us for more sessions coming up. So I'm going to put that link in the chat one more time here for Meet With Us. So everyone should come to this link, and you can sign up again for sessions, drop in sessions that are more specific to your questions, ones about these different degree programs, whether it's the PhD, MS Data Journalism, MA. We'll be holding a wide range of sessions about all of these programs coming up with our faculty and some alums from them, so you can hear more about the curriculum in more detail. And the application tips webinar, as I mentioned, is in 2 weeks, which you're welcome to come to, where we'll talk about all the details of the application and what we're looking for the master's programs as well as the doctoral program, things just to get prepared for in terms of if you need to take tests, if you need to, get work samples, edited down to more shorter links. We'll talk about all that in more detail there too. So it'll be a great session for those kinds of questions. And again, we'll be having a session next Friday, the 20th of September, with our Dean, Jelani Cobb, where he'll talk a bit about what his vision is for the school currently, some things he's started as new initiatives here and why, and more about kind of the educational experience you can look forward to at Columbia. So he'll be talking with all of you, hopefully next week too, about some of the things that he wants you to know about what makes our school really stand out and how it's helping people, really excel in the profession and all the changes that the profession undergoes constantly, keeping kind of abreast of all the changes in the profession and making you, always going to have the skills that will make you a cutting edge reporter in whatever area of the profession you want to get into. So we hope you'll join us for all of those as well. But thank you again. This has been a great conversation. I'm really happy you had such good answers to all the questions about the different programs. And again, reach out to us. We're happy to talk more about, your particular fit for whatever programs you're interested in, and making sure that when you are applying, you feel confident that the program you're applying for is the one that really makes the best sense for you. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of this lovely day and this weekend, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.